My dear friends, in today's masterclass, we are going to learn about how to manifest abundance. Now, our first masterclass on the manifestation codes was 4 weeks ago, and we learned about the 5 steps of the M code technique. M code is a short form for manifestation code technique. And I think it is fundamentally important that you take the time to view the recording of the Part 1 webinar video so as to get a good grasp of each of the 5 steps. What are they? How can we best understand them? How can we apply them? So in today's class, we will be putting the M code technique into practice as we learn how to manifest abundance. Let us start by briefly summarizing the M code technique from the Part 1 class. Step 1 is to come up with our proposition thought. And we saw how to do it via the example of Seth in Part 1. Proposition thought is the thought that you wish to propose to nature, the thought that you wish to manifest. Step 2 is to apply introspective reasoning to ensure that we fully understand what we are seeking to manifest and why. Because you're placing a very powerful thought in nature and seeking its manifestation, it's very important that you understand what you're asking for before you ask for it. And the introspective reasoning step is critical in that regard. Step 3 is to empower the proposition thought through contemplation steps that raise its energy level and vibration level. And we do this by adding seeds of high vibration positive thoughts to our proposition. In Part 1, I explained vibration levels, and I went into it in some detail, so please look it up. Next, we add the appropriate manifestation code to our proposition to prepare it to engage with nature, thus giving it the greatest power possible. Now, this manifestation code, which resides in nature, resonates equally with all beings that will participate in enabling the realization of your manifestation. It is like nature copying all the right people on its email. Remember, our prayers are answered through people and other creation of nature. Our manifestation is also delivered to us the same way by nature. Hence, manifestation codes are a powerful facilitator if used correctly. Then there is step 4, which is the invocation step, where we invoke our empowered proposition thought with its manifestation code into nature or the universe, where it can germinate and cause manifestation of what we seek. We can call this invocation our manifestation seed, because thoughts are like seeds. They leave from us and go and germinate wherever they are meant to. So this is our manifestation seed. Finally, once we have made our invocation and thus planted our manifestation seed in the infinite intelligence of nature, we then have to consciously nurture it as it germinates and manifests into what we seek. This is an ongoing process where we build upon our efforts to achieve our manifestation. We don't just think something and expect it to happen. It doesn't work that way. And this is where many may have missed the boat when trying to apply the laws of attraction and use their powers of manifestation. Because the common belief is you think and it will be. No, there is specific steps involved which we are going to learn today. In addition, patience is one of the most important requirements for manifestation. We have to let it be. Let it be. We need to place our faith in nature or the universe that our response will follow at the right time. And finally, we must absolutely believe in our ability to manifest what we seek. We must absolutely believe in our deep-rooted connection with nature the provider of all. In the absence of this belief, manifestation cannot happen. And in the part 1 class, I shared with you my own experience. Very first time I came across powers of manifestation when I was very young, and we sought to manifest rain on our farm in the midst of a drought. Please go through that example. It's actually very thought-provoking. So these are the 5 key steps to manifestation. Now, today we are going to learn how to manifest abundance. Abundance is something that we all think about, especially during our difficult times. And it is true to say that life in this world is getting more and more difficult, economically, socially, physically, mentally, emotionally. It's getting harder and harder for most people, and hence manifesting abundance does represent a key goal for most of us. So let us start with step 1. Step 1 is our proposition thought itself. What are we going to propose to nature? Our proposition thought today is to manifest abundance. To manifest abundance. So here, if we are all clear on what we wish to manifest, we then move on to step 2. Step 2 is the introspective reasoning step. Here we will try our best to understand what we are seeking to manifest and why. And this is a very important process that we must dedicate sufficient time to, always, in whatever we are trying to manifest. Understand what we are trying to manifest. So let us go through the reasoning step by step. Our first question is, what is abundance? Remember, we need to have a very clear understanding of what we are trying to manifest. Now let us see what the published literature says about abundance. The first definition I found was, abundance is a very large quantity of something. For example, the tropical island boasts an abundance of wildlife. So it's a large quantity. The second one is, abundance is also an ample quantity, an abundant amount, and it is often interpreted as affluence or wealth, which is expressed as a life of abundance. The third one says to have abundance of something is to have more than you need. It is also often used to describe positive qualities such as abundance of love, abundance of happiness. So that's also abundance is used in that context. Now, my dear friends, each one of us has our own perception of abundance. Now, before we proceed any further, we need to clarify a very common misunderstanding about abundance. Most people think of abundance purely as being wealthy. That is not abundance. If being wealthy is what you seek, then you are looking for prosperity, not abundance. So what is the difference between abundance and prosperity, you may ask? Abundance is something that has a return value to the heart. Return value to the heart. Prosperity is something that brings a return value to the wallet and or bank account. So prosperity resides on the outside of ourself, and it has tangible dividends, which we all used to. Abundance resides in the self, and it has intangible dividends. So if yourself were like a home, then prosperity would reside outside of your home, and abundance would reside inside of your home. That's the difference. Most people who seek to manifest riches and wealth are actually thinking of prosperity, which on its own is a different proposition. I would say a somewhat shallow one. If prosperity is what you seek, then your proposition thought should be to manifest prosperity. And the introspective reasoning that will follow will have very different questions to the one we are going to go through. and you have to reason through them. Now, we touched on some of these questions in the example of Seth in part 1, because there Seth was also trying to manifest more wealth, prosperity. And I will repeat some of them to refresh your memory. So Seth, as you recall, is an extremely wealthy man. And he's sitting in his garden contemplating his next proposition thought. And he comes up with, I wish to manifest more wealth, i.e. prosperity. So these are some of the questions he has to address in his introspective reasoning. He starts by asking himself, why? Why do I need to manifest more wealth? His answer is, because it gives me more power. Fair enough. So then his next question is, what will I do with this power? What do I need it for? He says to himself, so that I can do more. More of what? How much is enough? You can see where this internal dialogue is going. Now, those of you who are seeking to manifest wealth and hence prosperity, you have to go down a different path of reasoning, like Seth. And you may want to go over his example in the video recording of part 1, because there I've carried that argument across for prosperity. But today, we are not seeking to manifest prosperity. We are seeking to manifest abundance. While riches, wealth, fame, and fortune are amongst the brightest light bulbs in our world of illusions that often razzle and dazzle us, the question to ask is, do they bring happiness? Do they bring contentment? Do they bring fulfillment? The answer is no. Ask some of the wealthiest people on the planet if wealth makes them happy or fulfilled, and they will say no. Because they all feel a void for something deeper. And this void is the need for fulfillment, both material and spiritual. There's nothing wrong with seeking prosperity. It's perfectly fine. However, abundance is a greater goal because it does include prosperity, but in a form that is accompanied by happiness, contentment, and fulfillment. So going back to the analogy of the self being like a home, if you seek abundance, which resides inside the home, then you have everything, because the garden outside of the home, which is prosperity, will come with the home. So you have it all. But you need to be really honest about what you are seeking. If you seek wealth in the name of abundance, then abundance will most likely not come. You should try to manifest prosperity instead, and your chances of success will be much better. If you genuinely seek abundance and all that it brings, and are willing to commit to doing your part, then its likelihood of manifesting is very high. And the manifestation codes for abundance that I will share with you today is for abundance, not for prosperity. I hope we are all clear on that. So next, my dear friends, abundance also has a core spiritual dimension, an important core spiritual dimension. In spiritual terms, abundance is the product of the pure connection between your higher self, that is who you really are, and the abundant universe or nature, which is the source of everything. And this is really where our powers of manifestation originate from. So in a nutshell, when we are seeking to manifest abundance, we are seeking 4 things. Firstly, to manifest an ample amount of everything in our lives. Ample meaning more than our needs. More than our needs. Secondly, we are not seeking excesses. We do not want excesses. We are just seeking what is ample. In Dubai, I once saw a Rolls Royce with diamond studding. Amazing. But now that is excess, in my opinion. A nice car that you enjoy driving, and it can be very expensive, that's fine, but you enjoy driving, rather than having it to show off to others, is also considered ample. In the 1960s, we had rivers in East Africa that flowed freely and providing ample water to all the creation along their banks. That to me was abundance. It was ample. In the later years, people built dams in some of the rivers, killing their natural flow. These dams created excess water on one side and scarcity downstream. This is another example of unhealthy excess. This is not abundance. Next, thirdly, we are seeking all the deeper benefits that abundance brings, such as security, happiness, contentment, and fulfillment, amongst others. And fourthly, we are seeking abundance with a purpose that goes beyond ourselves. Now, what do I mean by a purpose that goes beyond oneself? About 2 years ago, I shared an insight on abundance, and the video recording is called How to Attract Abundance. Please take the time to view it, because it has several key laws of abundance. It's a short video, it's about 25 minutes, it was part of a Sharing Hope session, but it really provides you a useful insight on different aspects and laws of abundance. In this video, I talked about abundance as being like a river. One of its key requirements is that it must flow. Now, I've shared with you this story on many occasions, but I'll repeat it today. And this is from my second book, Parables from the Origin. And this story is about two little children, a boy by the name of Ibrahim, a girl by the name of Sarah, who are in a dense forest. But this is before humanity has emerged. This is before all these millions of people have appeared. They're the only two human beings in the forest, the third one being their great teacher. During the daytime, the great teacher teaches them about the laws of the forest. In the evenings, the teacher teaches them about spiritual matters. And one thing they've always been used to is that the forest gives and gives without limit. So one day they are walking through the forest and they see 7 trees in a circle, very tall trees. The roots of these trees go right into the core of the earth, and the trunks go right into the sky. And in the middle, in the circle of these 7 trees, is a fountain of water, crystal clear water flowing beautifully. So Sarah rushes to the fountain to get a drink, only to find out that what she was trying to drink was not water. So she looks at her great teacher and says, "What is this? I thought it was water. I am thirsty. The forest always provides for me, and here I am being deceived by this fountain." The great teacher said, "Take a close look at this fountain. What is it doing?" So the two of them look, the two children look, and they say, "Well, it's coming out of the earth and then it is flowing back to the earth." The teacher said, "Yes. This fountain is called the eternal pool." And he said, "Today it is time for you to learn the lesson of the eternal pool. Because from here on, these forests will no longer be. It will be filled with people like you. Everywhere there will be no forest. But this eternal pool will always provide for you all. It will always flow through each one of you, bringing you what you need, giving you whatever you seek. But this pool has one law. It must always flow. And when I say what it will give you resources, it'll give you food, it'll give you wealth, knowledge, skills, abilities. All these will come to you from the eternal pool. but it must always flow. So when you receive from your left hand, keep your right hand open and let it flow. And as long as you let it flow, you will always have everything you seek. But when you shut your right hand, so you keep taking but not giving, you will be cut from the flow of this eternal pool. So my dear friends, in life, if things stop working out for you, if everything goes wrong and you keep trying and trying to exhaustion but things are not working, ask yourself, is my left hand open? Yes, because I'm always happy to take. Is my right hand open? Am I giving? And very often you will find that unknowingly you have closed your right hand. I shared this example in one of my lectures, and then after the lecture, someone wrote to me and said, nothing was working out in my life. I ended up at your lecture, and what you said struck a chord in me. And I realized that while I was so used to taking, my other hand was closed. He said, I opened it, and everything returned back to normal. I was abundant, I was happy, everything began to work for me. So remember, when we seek abundance, we must be open to letting it flow. This is very, very important. And this adds a lot of power to our proposition thought. So this is what I mean by seeking abundance with a purpose that goes beyond ourselves. Fostering its flow well transcends ourselves. So when we think abundance, we must think flow. And my dear friends, it is this flow that also brings us peace, happiness, contentment, and fulfillment, whilst at the same time keeping us ample and prosperous. Now, a young lady who is very dear to me and a member of our family demonstrated the river of abundance in a very beautiful way. She is highly creative, and she designed her own wedding dress many years ago. She designed it herself and then had it tailored exactly the way she wanted it. She looked absolutely stunning on her wedding day, and her dress just flowed with her being, so intricate, so complex, and yet so fluid. After she and her husband returned from their honeymoon, she gave away her wedding dress to her friend who was going to get married, with the understanding that this dress was to be passed on to the next bride who needed it. I asked her how she felt about giving up something that she had worked so hard for and spent so much of her money on, and that wouldn't she want to keep that dress as a memory of her special day? She simply replied, "This dress does not belong in a closet. It is only beautiful when it is worn by a bride, giving her true happiness, which everyone can share in." Now that, my dear friends, is true abundance. This young lady lives in oneness and is always abundant, never short of anything. She is ample with a purpose that goes beyond herself. So now we all have a better understanding of what we are seeking from manifesting abundance. That was our introspective reasoning process. This takes us to the third step, which is empowering our proposition thought. This step has two parts, both of which empower our proposition thought. The first part is through contemplating seeds of high vibration positive thoughts, contemplating them. The second part is through adding the applicable manifestation code of nature to our proposition. When we put these two together, we have empowered our proposition thought to a level where we are ready to place it in nature. Now let us start by contemplating the seeds of these high vibration positive thoughts. What are they? Let us look at some examples. Let us address the question, why do I wish to manifest abundance? Why do I wish to manifest abundance? The answers to this question will deliver us the seeds of positive thoughts that we are seeking to add. I will share 9 of them with you here, and you can add more to your list. The first one is, why am I seeking abundance? Because I seek to fulfill the purpose of my life's journey with the blessing of abundance. I seek to fulfill the purpose of my life's journey with the blessing of abundance. By this statement, we are acknowledging the importance of fulfilling life's purpose while submitting that abundance is a grace that comes from nature. It's a humble statement. Abundance is a grace that comes from nature, the provider of all. This is a thought of a very high vibration level. So this is the first one. Next, the second one, I seek to be able to care and provide for my family and loved ones, and am willing to work hard and do my best for them. I seek to be able to care and provide for my family and loved ones, and I'm willing to work hard and do my best for them. This statement is a submission of selflessness. Another very powerful intention. Selfless intentions are very powerful. Third, I seek to become part of the flow of the river of abundance, where I shall receive from one hand and give freely with the other. This is a solemn commitment with a selfish and selfless dimension, but it's a solemn commitment that is extremely powerful because you're committing to flow. 4, I wish to experience the blessing of giving with no expectation of return. I wish to experience the blessing of giving with no expectation of return. This intention represents pure selflessness. Very powerful. Number 5, I seek to experience contentment and share my example with others. Being content is an elevated state of being. Very powerful. Number 6, I seek to live with confidence and security, materially and spiritually, and to do what it takes to bring confidence and security to all those around me. I'll repeat that. I seek to live with confidence and security, materially and spiritually, and do what it takes to bring confidence and security to all those around me. This submission is selfish and selfless, both, but still very powerful. Number 7, with the grace of abundance, I seek to learn and experience true gratitude and be a droplet in the river of gratitude that nourishes all. This is a submission that seeks growth of your being, of your soul. Very powerful. Number 8, I seek to use all the resources I may be blessed with to help eliminate poverty and suffering. This is an extremely powerful intention of a very, very high vibration level. And 9, I seek to learn true humility from the river of abundance. This is another example of a submission that seeks growth of your being and your soul. Very powerful. So these are examples of 9 powerful positive seed thoughts that can help raise the vibration level of our proposition thought considerably. Take the time to think each one of them carefully when you manifest abundance. Internalize them well. Take the time. It is crucial, however, that we truly and honestly believe in each one of our seeds and then commit to live by them. It's a commitment. So if any of the seeds, 9 seeds I've suggested to you, don't resonate with you, don't use them. Come up with those that you can commit to. So it's a process of honesty here. We can now move to the second part of the proposition thought empowerment step, which is addition of the manifestation code of nature. As I explained in the part 1 webinar, nature provides what is needed for us to manifest what we seek through universal codes that resonate with every creation in an exact and equal fashion. I shared with you the example in the part 1 class, and will repeat it here today, where we assume, or let us assume, that we want all human beings to raise their left arm. We want all human beings to raise their left arm. How do we say to them, raise your left arm, in a way that everyone understands? There are so many languages in the world. Which one would we use? What universal message or code can we create that everyone understands? That is what the manifestation code is. A universal communication that every being resonates with. So the manifestation code in this case, about raising one's left hand, will show a sketch symbol of a person with a raised left arm. It's just a sketch of a person with a raised left arm. Everyone can understand that symbol, regardless of language, race, or culture. This is how nature communicates with us, through its codes that resonate equally and universally with all, and hence are understood by all at the level of thought. These codes are extremely powerful, and their power lies hidden in their subtlety. The type of manifestation code we choose depends on what we seek to manifest. Because remember, manifestation happens through the participation of our fellow creation. It does not happen in a vacuum, so they have to be activated. That's what these codes do. So my dear friends, in the last class I mentioned that manifestation codes in nature can even be found expressed in the scriptures. Their presence significantly raises the vibration of the lesson that the scripture is teaching. For example, one scripture starts with the words, by the fig and the olive. By the fig and the olive. And then goes on to teach about the difference between good and evil. What do figs and olives have to do with good and evil? At the outset you may say, nothing. And you won't be wrong, you're probably right. So why are such words present in the scripture verse? Nothing appears in scriptures without a very deep fundamental reason. So why are such words present in this scripture verse? Why do they open the lesson that the scripture is relating? These words are the vibration symbols of nature that we just covered. They are the manifestation codes for the learning that follows. The fig and the olive actually in reality are not random words. They do bear a very, very subtle relationship to the message that follows in that scripture. And as we learn more of these codes, I will try to explain their subtle connections with what we are trying to manifest. So what is the manifestation code of abundance in nature? It goes by the following words. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun. This is the manifestation code for abundance. I'll repeat it one more time. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun. How is this code connected to abundance, you may ask? Let us look at moonlight. What is moonlight? It is a reflection of the light of the sun as it bounces off the moon and comes to earth. So moonlight is a softer, gentler form of sunlight. It is a reflected form of sunlight. This light flows from the sun and then comes to the earth at night via being bounced off the moon. While it is soft, this light is extremely powerful because it can cause waters of the oceans to release oxygen that every creature needs. And this happens at night, when none of the plants and trees that are producing oxygen normally, which they do during the daytime, in fact at night, they are consuming oxygen. Yet here is the moonlight creating oxygen in the oceans. Then night yields to the morning sun that follows. It is still the same light of the sun, but now it is strong, powerful, and bright. It awakens all creation and initiates the natural cycles of plants and all creatures. So night yields to day, and then day yields to night. At night, it nurtures nature's creation with moonlight. In the day, it nurtures nature's creation with direct sunlight. This is a phenomenon of constant flow of sunlight 24 hours a day. A constant flow of nurturing energies to all creation all the time. This is ample. This is abundance. The intensity of light may vary from day to night to provide what is required, just like the flow of a river can vary depending on topography and what the river needs to deliver. But its flow is constant, and that is abundance. This is why the words, "by the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun," represent the manifestation code for abundance in nature. Constant flow, constant nurturing, with varying strengths as required. That's the essence of the code, and I will repeat. Constant flow, constant nurturing, with varying strengths as required. That is the essence of this code. The scriptures also point to the moon and the sun in the context of manifesting abundance. One scripture says, "And he made subject to you the moon and the sun, both diligently pursuing their courses. And he also made night and day subject to you, and he gives you all that you ask for." I'll repeat this. "And he made subject to you the moon and the sun, both diligently pursuing their courses. And he also made night and day subject to you, and he gives you all that you ask for." What does this scripture tell us from the perspective of manifesting abundance? Let's look at the words. "And he made subject to you the moon and the sun, both diligently pursuing their courses." This is a statement of continuous flow, as I explained earlier. The day flows into the night flows into the day without any break. They have continuous flow, like the river of abundance. Then the verse, "And he has also made night and day subject to you." Here we see nature harnessing day and night, harnessing the sun and the moon so that it can provide for us all. And remember, abundance means being amply provided for. What greater a provision can we have than all the nutritive and nurturing forces of the sun and moon during the day and the night? What greater provision? And finally, "And he gives you all that you ask for." This is a statement that confirms that we have been blessed with the powers of manifestation. Ask and you shall receive. Ask and you shall receive. We ask in our proposition, and nature, which derives its motive force from the Creator, gives to us what we ask for. That, my dear friends, is manifestation. So the code of nature that says, by the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, can be found expressed in scriptures as well, everywhere. If you dig deeper, you will find more. And you will also find that they have a mystical dimension too. When I was inspired with these words, I thought very deeply about each word. And it became very evident to me as to how they are connected to manifesting abundance. And I have just shared that with you. But do take the time to dig deeper. You will be pleasantly surprised with what you find. Now we can move to step 4, the invocation step. This step involves invoking our manifestation and placing it in the hands of nature. Invoking our manifestation and placing it in the hands of nature. Let us start with the manifestation code for abundance. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun. Let us internalize these words deep within our being. So sit back, close your eyes, and breathe freely. Be at complete peace. Let go of all your stresses, strains, worries, anxieties. Let them all leave your being. And breathe in peace. Be at complete peace. Keep repeating in your mind the word peace. 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 Now, imagine you're walking in the desert, barren desert, on a full moon night. The moon is shining brightly over the desert, giving off a soft silver light. The sand dunes in front of you are all glowing with that soft silver light of the moon. Take a look at the moon. Take a look at its light. And let its light fill your being as you repeat the words in your mind. By the light of the moon. By the light of the moon. Repeat these words a few times. By the light of the moon. And the light of the moon is deeply anchored in your heart. And then you move on to the next place where you are on top of this beautiful mountain surrounded by snow-capped peaks. The grass is green, filled with dewdrops. The sky is blue, and the morning sun is shining brightly. You can see its rays as they reach the grass, causing the dewdrops to sparkle. Take a look at these rays of the morning sun and let them fill your being as you repeat the word in your mind, rays of the morning sun. Rays of the morning sun. Keep repeating these words. Rays of the morning sun. rays of the morning sun. You've allowed the rays of the morning sun to be deeply anchored in your being. You are now filled with the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun. The code of manifestation for abundance is now seated in you. You may open your eyes. So we have now internalized this code. And you can practice this internalization whenever you wish. I recommend you do. And if you have a different vision of moonlight or a different vision of the rays of the morning sun, use them as you please, because it's about you. It must work for you. Now we move to the invocation for abundance. And here are the words I would suggest to invoke abundance. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. I will repeat this invocation. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. One more time. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. That's your invocation. And the words of this invocation are our manifestation seed, which we plant in nature or the universe, from where it can germinate and yield what we are seeking to manifest. In this case, it is abundance. You can present this invocation to nature as often as you wish. Now, this invocation should also be practiced in a deeper manner, in a much more focused way, through a short meditation. So let us practice that meditation together. So once again, sit back, close your eyes, and breathe freely. Let go of all your emotions, your tensions, your stresses. Let it all go and be at complete peace, pure peace. As you repeat in your mind the word peace, peace. Peace. And I'd like you to imagine you're in a desert, a barren desert with nothing except sand dunes, in a full moon night. Sky is still filled with stars, and the moon is shining brightly over the desert, giving off a soft, gentle silver light that causes all the sand dunes to glow with that soft silver color. Take a moment and look at the moonlight, and let the light of the moon fill your being as you repeat the words in your mind, by the light of the moon. By the light of the moon. Keep repeating these words for a few moments. By the light of the moon. By the light of the moon. Your heart is filled with the light of the moon. And now you move to the mountain, beautiful mountain, tall mountain, and you're standing on top of it, surrounded by snow-capped peaks, with beautiful green grass before you. The sky is blue. The rays of the morning sun are shining brightly as they come to the grass, and you can see them at the grass, causing the dewdrops to sparkle. Take a look at the rays of the morning sun and let them fill your being as you repeat the words, rays of the morning sun. Keep repeating these words, rays of the morning sun. Rays of the morning sun. The rays of the morning sun are deeply anchored in your being, as is the light of the moon. And then you move on to your invocation, which says, by the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Invoke abundance. Keep repeating these words for a few moments. Invoke abundance. Invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. Nature, the provider of all. Keep repeating these words. Nature, the provider of all. Nature, the provider of all. By the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. You have now invoked manifestation of abundance. You may open your eyes. Now, if you wish to use your own religious beliefs in your manifestation invocation, it is fine. You can substitute the word nature with whatever name you choose to call upon the one you believe is your provider. So religion-based words could be God, Allah, Lord, Father, Krishna, Christ, Ram, whatever word you believe is your provider. And if you wish to invoke manifestation in the name of whatever your religious beliefs provide you with, it is fine. So for example, if you were to use the word God, your invocation would be, by the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of God, the provider of all. Then you would focus on God, the provider of all, at a much deeper level, like we did in the short meditation. So you would use the word God instead of nature. I have chosen to use nature as the universal word because that's where the manifestation codes reside, and they resonate beautifully with the word nature. But it is entirely up to you. You need to believe deeply in your provider. That is extremely important. Hence, you can use the name of your provider that works best for you. That's key. So this is the invocation part of the M code technique. Next, we move to the final step, which is the fifth step, nurturing your manifestation seeds. So once you have decided on your proposition thought and gone through your introspective reasoning and then empowered your proposition thought, you have now invoked it and placed it as a seed of manifestation in nature. But the process does not end here. You have to nurture your seed of manifestation. The wording of this seed, as we just learned, is by the light of the moon and the rays of the morning sun, I invoke abundance. Abundance by the grace of nature, the provider of all. You have planted this manifestation seed in nature or the universe, from where it can germinate and yield what you are seeking to manifest. So how do we continue to nurture this seed? Firstly, we can repeat our invocation periodically, like say once a week or more frequently, or we can even repeat it daily if you wish, or multiple times a day. It's entirely up to you. That's one way. Repeating this invocation and focusing on it is one way of nurturing the manifestation seed. The next way to do it is to create your mindset or state of being every morning such that it is in accordance with your manifestation seed. And you create your mindset or state of being by anchoring yourself in abundance. So you start your day with the anchor thought of abundance. Now you've all learned the technique of anchor thought, and I have also just released a new video on our YouTube channel on anchor thought and how to practice it. This one, the new one, is about anchoring love. But there are two videos that I suggest you work with. The first one is called Anchoring Thought. It's an older one, and it's about 7-8 minutes. Start with that, so you'll understand how to anchor your thoughts. And then the second one is called Anchoring Love. And that's the one where we actually use anchor thought to anchor love. It's a practical, again, 7-8 minute meditation. I would go through them in this order, the old one first, the new one second. And for those of you who are not familiar with anchor thought, it is basically a technique which I have shared, where instead of randomly living life, feeling emotions, and in being in states of being that you don't control, you actually take charge of your state of being. So if I ask you, how are you? And you say, I'm fine, that's the most useless thing you can ever say. But you can say, I am happy, I am abundant, I am at peace. So you anchor yourself in a state of being, and that's what the anchor thought technique teaches. Now, I don't have time today to go through it, so please work with the videos. And in the next class, time permitting, we will do the anchor thought technique for the next manifestation that we will work with. And we haven't decided on it as yet as to what that is. Now you may ask, if I have invoked 3 manifestations, like say abundance, companionship, and clarity, How do I deal with the anchor thought part every morning? What do I establish my state of being in at the beginning of my day? My advice would be to anchor yourself in abundance one morning, then in companionship the next morning, and clarity the morning after, and then return to abundance again. So the anchor thought part is very powerful because you are establishing your state of being at the start of your day based on your manifestation seeds. Now, during the day, as you face your challenges, you can add anchor thoughts at any time of the day. There is no limit. So it's not as if you start with abundance and stay all day with abundance. You use anchor thought as a tool to carry you through your day by establishing your state of being in the way it needs to be. So say you are going to a meeting where you want to create a space of peace or oneness so as to make everything flow harmoniously for you and for those with you. You can anchor yourself in peace before the meeting. Or if you prefer, you can anchor yourself in oneness. So this technique can be used throughout the day. So it's not stuck to what you establish at the beginning of the day. So your anchor thought at the start of the day can be for whatever you are seeking to manifest. Let's be clear about that. After that, you can change your state of being during the day as you wish with different anchor thoughts. So today, my dear friends, we have learned to apply the M-code technique to anchor abundance. And as you practice it more often, it will become like second nature. It will go very smoothly and manifestation is going to become much easier for you. So I would like to conclude by thanking each one of you for being here today at this webinar. And I pray that the light of our Creator may always be with you to help you, guide you, protect you, and love you. And I also pray that as you learn to manifest, you will manifest a great deal for the greater good. Stay blessed.